Hi friends, Krista here. Thanks for stopping by Books and Jams. It is time to talk about all the books that I hope to read in the month of April. I was attempting to keep this list rather short after middle grade March and reading so many books. I did this last year where I kind of wanted to leave a little more room for wiggle room and like mood reading and just kind of see what floats to the top of the pile and what I want to read. But I have 7 books to talk about. I do typically read more than 7 books a month, so there is still a little bit of room, but these 7 are the ones that I definitely want to get done in the month of April. So let's just jump right in. The first book is the most important because it's my patron book club book for the next month, and it's Dear Mrs Byrd by A.J. Pierce. This is one that I have been wanting to read for a really long time. This one takes place during World War II, and we follow an aspiring journalist who becomes a secret advice columnist during the war. And I heard that it has just kind of heartwarming vibes and is going to be really lovely. And I'm just very, very, very eager to finally read it. So this is going to be my patron book club book for April. If you're interested in reading this along, link to my Patreon is down below. I'd love to have you join in the fun over there and join in the conversation for Dear Mrs. Byrd. So that's the number 1 priority. Number 2 priority is the last of my 5-star prediction books. This has been on a couple different TBRs. It's finally going to get read. That's The Lost Man by Jane Harper. I just think I'm going to love this book. Obviously, it's one of my 5-star predictions. I was hoping to have them all done by the end of March. I was trying to give myself 3 months. So if I can get this done at the beginning of April, I'll be okay with that. But I'm just really eager to read this. It takes place in the outback in Australia. With some brothers, and one of the brothers is killed, and the other brothers, I think, are trying to figure out who did it. I just have loved Jane Harper's books in the past, and I'm pretty confident I'm going to like this one as well. So The Lost Man is also a priority. Then I have 3 books that I'm reading as buddy reads this month. I will be continuing with the Keeper of the Lost Cities series. This is book 7, and I think it's the biggest yet. Oh man, it's so big, but it really does read quickly. I'm reading these with Amy from Amy's Bookish Life. This one has 845 pages. Ooh, it's so big, but I'm just really excited to continue with Sophie and her friends and find out what happens. Each book leaves on such a cliffhanger that I always get so eager to continue the series. So I'm really excited to continue with book 7. Then we have 8 and 8.5, 2 more before book 9 comes out in the fall. So we've got plenty of time. I'm eager to continue with that saga. The other 2 books I'll be reading with Shannon, who is one of my patron supporters. One of the books I gave as an option for April's pick is Piranesi by Susanna Clark. I originally had no desire to read this book. The cover doesn't draw me in. As people talked about it, I was just thinking that it wouldn't be a book for me. But then quite a few people had it on their favorite books of the year stacks and piles and lists. And I just became intrigued to know if this is going to be something for me or not. It's a relatively short book. It has less than 300 pages. So what I can gather from this one is not very much. There's this huge, huge house. It's no ordinary house. It's massive. It changes all the time. It's so big that it has its own tides. So there's water there that has its own tides. And Piranesi's job and goal is to understand and map to a degree, or like learn the house, the inner workings of the house. There's one other person who lives in the house, and Piranesi refers to him as the other. And apparently there's going to be some sort of murder mystery. I really don't know more than that. But people who were not expecting to love it have really loved it. Others, I know it wasn't a hit for. So I'm not sure where I'm going to land, but I have heard that it's best done as a buddy read. So I'm looking forward to reading this with Shannon and talking about it with her, and possibly a small group, because there were a few people who picked this one for April. So we might rope in a couple other people to read this one together with. So we'll be getting that one done in April. Another one that has been on a couple TBRs in the past is Ya Jessie's Transcendent Kingdom. I really have wanted to read this. I loved Homegoing by this author, and I think this is going to be very different from Homegoing. Our main character, Gifty, is a Ghanaian, and she is a 6th year med student, neurological student. What is it? a 6-year PhD candidate in neuroscience at Stanford University School of Medicine. So she's incredibly smart and into the sciences, but also it's going to take a look at science and faith and how do those two things work together or not. And our main character is going to kind of deal with that, like grapple with those two things. At the end of the summary, it says, Transcendent Kingdom is a deeply moving portrait of a family of immigrants ravaged by depression and addiction and grief. A novel about faith, science, religion, love. Exquisitely written, emotionally searing, it's also a testament to Jesse's extraordinary range and ambition. A leap into completely new territory undertaken with effortless command and raw emotion in language that soars. So I'm just really excited. I really enjoyed Homegoing. I'm not sure if this is going to be too literary for me, but I'm willing to give it a try. And I think buddy reading this will also help work through any issues that I might have with it. So I don't know if I'm going to have issues with it. I guess we'll have to see. And then the last two books that I have are also connected to my Patreon because I give some of my patrons a chance to recommend books to me every month, and I'm a little bit behind still. I caught up in March a little bit, but I still have to read Sparks Like Stars by Nadia Hashimi. This was my pick for February, and I really, really want to read this one. It's about an Afghan American woman who returns to Kabul to learn the truth about her family and the tragedy that destroyed their lives in this beautifully brilliant and compelling novel from Nadia Hashimi. So it's the daughter of a prominent family. She grows up in privilege, but then they move to the United States, and then eventually they're going to move back to Afghanistan. So I love that. I'm very, very interested in this, and I have heard wonderful things about this book. So I think I'm going to try to find this on audio because this book is quite overdue at the library. I've been holding on to it because I know that I need to read it, but I found it on audio, so I think I'll listen to this one on audio. But that's definitely going to get read in April. And then the one that I picked for this month is called Custard, Tarts, and Broken Hearts. I will put a picture of it here. And I've never heard of this book before. I think it's going to be another World War II historical fiction, but have like a lightheartedness to it to a degree. I think. I'm not even really sure. But that's the one that I picked for April. So these, plus Custard, Tarts, and Broken Hearts, are the 7 books that I will most definitely be reading in April. And hopefully a few others as well will make their way into this stack. So I would love to have you read along with me for any of these or share your thoughts about them down below. I would love to know, what are you most excited to pick up in the month of April? Let's chat down in the comments. You guys know I love talking with you down there. I thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me for a few minutes today. And I look forward to talking with you in another video very soon. Bye.